Coming up, we'll be on location at Trim Lifestyle Education in Lanham, Maryland, discussing the benefits of lifestyle coaching and how it can effectively help you identify and overcome the many challenges that so many people experience, along with improving your overall personal and professional lives with one of this region's top lifestyle coaches, Terence Monkou. Terence has well over 40 years of experience in this specialty and is widely recognized as one of this region's leading lifestyle coaches. Welcome, Terence. It's a pleasure having you on our program today.
Thank you.
We have a lot to talk about, but I wanted to begin, if I may, by having you please tell us, Terence, what a lifestyle coach is for those watching who may not know.
You see, a lifestyle coach is someone who helps people achieve physical and emotional well-being.
You really help that person as a whole, in other words.
That's correct.
It really looks into every factor within that person's life.
That's correct.
So what are some of the common issues or problems, Terence, that you help people address?
I address things like disease management. I address things like people with diabetes, high blood pressure. You help them to understand the context of the problem. You help them to appreciate how they can fix the problem. You teach them things like how to improve sleep, how to improve activities, how to quit certain habits that have been overwhelming and controlling their behavior. And you teach them how to also manage fluids.
Yes, so you really look at them, as we said a moment ago, as a whole, from the health side, the wellness side, the overall well-being of that person.
That's correct.
So I wanted to follow that up by asking you what some of the causes are that result in some of these issues you just touched upon in people.
One of the major cause of lifestyle diseases is choice, especially as it relates to food.
Yes.
If you understand this clearly, about 80% of the problem that exists in us today as a result of how we eat.
Yeah, and it goes back to choice, like you said.
Goes back to choice.
We have the decisions to make, and it's a matter of whether we make the right decisions for us, because everyone's different, or the wrong decisions.
Yes, and I wanted to say something. Sometimes I say, it's lack of knowledge. How can we help them to gain the information that is needed?
That's right. So I would assume then that you put your clients, when they first get in touch with you, through an evaluation process initially to really find out what he or she is looking for in their lives, in their personal journeys, with their health, their overall wellness, and you basically customize a solution that is best for that particular person, because we're all different, as I said.
That's correct.
So what does that initial process entail?
Well, the initial process can involve helping them. Sometimes we begin with a questionnaire, just to get a background. And then we help them to establish what we call a profile.
I see.
People, you need to get a profile, a simple way of identifying what is your baseline, what are the challenges that you have faced, what have been your usual practice. Like, for example, when do you go to sleep? Or, for example, what are the things you did as you grew up?
Yeah.
What's your background? What's your culture? What's your makeup? And so when we understand those factors, then we know how to channel and direct them to making the right selections.
Yes, and what they want in their lives.
Yes.
And so that initial consult, I'm sure, depends on that particular client of yours, what their goals are and their needs.
Yes.
So it can vary in how involved it is.
That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
And what would you say, Terence, some of the most effective strategies are in your toolbox that really help your clients address these issues?
Well, you know, I always wonder, how are you going to approach people? How are you going to get their attention? So I have identified, which most professionals will do, 8 essentials
Okay.
that I think is lacking, and because of poor habits,
Yeah.
these essentials are neglected. Maybe they are aware of it, but it's neglected. And we teach them about rest, sleep, food,
Yeah.
water, sunshine, fresh air, and we even teach them how to do it right.
Yes. Things that you just mentioned sound so simple and basic, but through the hustle and bustle of life and the all-consuming nature that so many of us unfortunately end up in our lives, between work and family and friends and
Yeah.
everything else that we're involved with, we sometimes lose focus or awareness of exactly those things and how they can affect us.
That's correct.
Are we getting enough sleep? Are we really drinking enough water?
Yes.
Are we actually pausing and just having our time, enjoying the sun if it's a nice day, or something along those lines? So simple, but yet so helpful that we forget so many times to really appreciate and take in our lives.
That's correct, because I think we approach life as a feelings.
Yes.
Life should never be approached as a feeling. Life should be approached as a choice, and an informed choice.
Yes.
If you're informed, then you make good decisions. I believe that a good education will culture the exercise of your will.
Yes.
And how you make choices.
Very well said indeed, Terence. Now, how are some of these strategies implemented with your clients?
You know, one of the first things I have done among my clients is to teach them how to prioritize. In fact, I actually have developed some principles which they have been following. There are 4 principles. Okay. I call them life-changing principles.
Okay.
And I use some acronym to describe them. I teach people how to mix it. I can explain that later. I teach them how to zip it.
Okay.
I teach them how to move it, and I teach them how to rest it.
So mix it, move it, zip it, and rest it.
That's correct. You can trim it any fashion you want.
Yes.
But in summary, they are life-changing principles that can help you look at essentials and prioritize them.
Yes, indeed. And I'm sure the specific plan for each of your clients certainly depends on that particular client.
That's correct.
As we've touched on, since
Yes.
it's customized.
Yes.
And I'm sure the number of sessions, again, would vary depending on that client.
Well, yes.
But typically speaking, how many sessions do you generally see or need with your clients before they start seeing results?
I follow 13 sessions, I think, is a good number.
Okay.
In fact, sometimes you can customize it to less, but 13 is an ideal way of doing it.
Because we're talking about changing habit that has been with us for so many years. And this is a real lifestyle change we're talking about.
That's correct. And you know,
So it takes time.
You know how many days it takes to change a habit? Do you know?
I think close to 30 days, right?
Yes, close to 30 days. In fact, we said in a formula way, it takes 21 days to change a habit.
See? So that's why the 13 sessions come
Yeah.
in handy based on your many years of experience.
That's correct.
Having helped so many people, right?
That's correct.
And as far as the length of time per session, how long do they generally run?
A session should not last longer than an hour is good
An
per
hour.
session.
Okay.
Sometimes at the beginning, at the
Sure.
jump start, we may say 2 hours. It's just
Sure.
as the introductory part of any program
Yes.
is always
A little longer to explain everything.
Yeah. But as you go on with the program, and I have a way of downloading the information to them.
Yes.
And that's one of my skills that I have, a way of sharing the idea. Make it, I said, keep it simple,
Yes.
not complex.
Yes.
If I keep it simple, then they get the key idea of what I want. And if you get one word to walk away with, it's better than having multiple sentences.
That's right. That's right. Well, true genius is taking the complex and simplifying it.
Ah.
So that's really something that can resonate with everyone.
That's correct.
When it's really made simple and explained that way to us and shown that way.
Yeah, that's correct.
Are the results permanent that you see in your clients that you've helped over so many years? Or do they need to come back occasionally after they've achieved what they were looking for to get a true lifestyle change?
No result can be a permanent fix in a world like this.
Yes.
It calls for ongoing practice. One of the ways we encourage people to go back, we encourage them to get involved in group dynamics. That's the follow-up. It's where you come together with all those who have graduated with you, and you form a group, and you meet, whether it's once a month.
Yes.
And you talk over, you demonstrate what you have learned, if you have a new idea or a new technique, because some of these things involve demonstration. A simple cooking.
Yes.
You know, sometimes we share ideas with people, and when you ask them, they don't know how to do it. Even some fruits people are not even familiar with.
Yes.
And so when I introduce a mango, I'll have to teach them how to eat it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Great point.
So people come together and they bring their experience and their success.
Yes.
And you meet and you discuss and you share. Without group dynamics, the programs will fail.
Yes, that's an essential part. And nowadays, with the pandemic and everything going on, I'm sure you help your clients through Zoom, right, or Skype,
yes.
Phone, coaching, as well as do you meet them also in person, but social distancing, 6 feet or so apart?
That's correct, because we try to encourage the principles of immune defense.
Yes, yes.
And immune defense involves that you understand how things are transmitted.
Yes, yes, indeed.
And if you want to ignore that, it's up to you, but then you're at your own risk. I always say this: don't allow your feelings to offset the best of your senses.
Great point.
If you have something to question, you check your feelings against a reputable example.
Yes. Yes.
Like a scientific evidence.
Yes.
That this has been tried and proven.
Yes, indeed.
Or some holy script in which people of different culture adopts them. So.
Now, I also wanted to ask you, Terence, if a client of yours goes through the program, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason ends up having to withdraw or drop out due to whatever reason that they have, or whatever situation they have going on in their lives. How does your program work as far as allowing them back in when they're ready again to make that commitment for a true lifestyle change?
Well, reduce the costs, but they have to start over.
Yes.
In other words, for life, if you messed up, you got to start over.
Yeah, you just can't pick up where you left off.
No. You have
because
to
then the whole process of your program is to really help them as a whole achieve that lifestyle change.
Correct.
As a lifestyle coach.
Yes, that's correct. So you have to let
So
them
they
start
really
over.
have to go back from the beginning
Yes,
if they had to drop out for any reason.
Yes.
Okay.
Because starting over means that you're putting yourself down to come from nothing to something.
Yes, yes. And obviously, as the lifestyle coach for your clients, you really help them along the way, but you're a coach. They still have to make that equal commitment on their end. It takes two, right? You and
That's
your
correct.
client
Yeah.
working together in a partnership, if I may use that word,
That's correct.
to really help them achieve their lifestyle change.
It's a partnership relationship.
Yes.
Life is not singleness.
Yes.
In other words, we teach people that you work not alone,
Yes.
but get a company, get someone to work with you.
Yes.
Get a buddy. A buddy is just like you and I. We couldn't do this interview alone. So you got involved. So two people is what makes things work.
Yes, indeed. And we're literally out of time, Terence.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you, before I let you go, you and Trim Lifestyle Education here in Lanham, Maryland, have certainly achieved a reputation for excellence. You're widely recognized, Terence, as one of this region's top lifestyle coaches. And I just wanted to ask you what you feel really helps separate you and Trim Lifestyle Education apart from many of the others.
There is one word: unlike many people, I have developed a principle of prioritizing the essentials, the 8 essentials to survive the 21st century. I have put them in order of priority.
Yes.
And anyone who gets involved in the way I do it has appreciated my concept of beginning with one word. Start over. You have to go to nothing to become something, so you have to start with sleep.
Yes, sleep is really so important. You've touched on that a few times
So that's
today.
my prioritizing number one.
Yes,
And number one can only be number one.
yes.
And sleep is my number one priority. It gives you an opportunity to start over. It is one of the most refreshing moments of your life.
Yes, indeed. And not to mention, as we touched on at the top of this interview, you have well over 40 years of experience. You've helped a very large number of folks throughout this region, around the country, everywhere for that matter, over that time, really achieved through happiness, better health, better wellness, and basically helping them make lifestyle changes that are
correct.
best for each of them.
Yes.
And on that note, we'd like to thank you, Terence, for joining us, being our guest on our program. It was our pleasure having you on, and we'd love to have you back on in the future, in fact.
Thank you, Rocco.
Oh,
My pleasure to meet you. My pleasure to engage in this discourse with you. And I look forward for great opportunities in the future.
yes, indeed.